Welcome back to Primitive Organic Garden. We're going to do our last winter garden tour. We're at the Permaculture orchard today. We abandoned the swamp garden. I think we did one video post-abandonment, but probably all the videos going forward will be at the Permaculture orchard. This is the last winter garden video, considering I already have summer crops up. There's corn and zucchini popping up. I planted that not last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago. And it didn't come up for probably 8 or 9 days. And then we had a couple days that were 80-something degrees. One day was like 88. And all the corn and zucchini popped up. And before I planted it, I checked the 30-day forecast and made sure there were no temperatures that were going to be lower than, I think I didn't see anything under 44. 44 was the lowest I saw in the 30-day forecast, and I thought, great. And out of nowhere, now they're saying we're going to get down to 27 this weekend. So all the corn and squash is going to die, but I did save half of the seed packs so I could replant. Sorry, there's a plane flying overhead. So this was all ryegrass all winter, and I planted some clover in here too, but never really saw it pop up. Now it's starting to pop up, interestingly enough. The rye did great all winter. Had a nice, lush rye lawn. And now, like I said, you can see some clover. I went with a crimson clover border around the corn and zucchini here. All that is crimson. And then there's 2 types of corn and probably 6 or 8 different types of zucchinis. There is the Cherokee White Eagle dent corn, and there's also the Stowell's Evergreen sweet corn. And those plants will be pretty easy to tell apart. The Cherokee White Eagle gets much, much larger, should be a much more vigorous corn. Flint corns and dent corns, all your flower types, tend to be much hardier plants than sweet corns. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those come back from the frost. And then there were 6 or 8 different heirloom Italian zucchinis I planted in here that I was really excited about, and then one F1 powdery mildew resistant modern commercial golden zucchini. The corn started coming up in the raised beds before it started coming up in the ground, which probably to be expected. Raised beds heat up a little faster. You can see the corn here is just starting to pop. There's also crimson clover around these. But there's going to be a lot of weed issues. That Florida betony is really bad here. There's a handful of other weeds I expect to have some issues with, but nothing probably as bad as the Florida betony. You can see the Florida betony here. But yeah, so this is going to be corn and zucchini. A couple other things that are fairly new since our last update. I managed to get whatever awful flower bush had been here for 30 years out of here. About broke my back doing it. Took me, all said and done, probably 6 or 8 hours to get this flower bush out. Finally leveled the ground. I mean, the root system was just unbelievable. I bent up the lawnmower blade after I had gotten all of the roots out of here, just ran over one of them. The roots were just, like a 2x4. And now this is going to be some black bamboo, which is kind of different and exciting. But let's go see the fruit orchard. The only fruit trees that are out here are the lemons, the pineapple, guava, this random loquat here, and then there's a tangerine tree by the mailbox. But most of the fruit orchard's in the back. We also have some annual vegetables on the carport that we can look at. Tomatoes and peppers that are going to have to go in the house on Sunday, which is unfortunate because I've already up-potted a lot of them. They're fairly easy to bring into the house when they're in trays, but a lot of them are no longer in trays. Probably what I'm most sad about in terms of the end of winter is saying goodbye to this blue kale. I've just loved looking at this every day. This is one blue kale plant, and I planted it like almost 2 years ago. It collapsed under its own weight. There's the stem of it. It was like 4 feet tall, and when it fell over, instead of dying, it sent up all these lateral shoots. They looked like Swiss cheese all last summer because caterpillars ate holes in them. It managed to survive the heat of summer, and then it came back this winter just beautifully, and now it's about to flower. It's probably the nicest kale I've ever grown in my life. Got some random fabric pots over here that don't get watered very often. I thought about planting some potatoes in them. Not really sure what I'm going to do with those, but this is the tangerine tree I mentioned. It's heavily cover cropped with clover and rye to keep weeds down. There's some strawberries in there. The annual vegetables we were talking about. There's a radish there actually, but there's quite a lot of tomatoes and peppers. I think I counted 100 pepper plants and 80 something tomatoes. So those are all going to have to go in the house. This is black Holeless barley from Baker Creek. There's a handful of broccoli plants that are resprouting side shoots after flowering. Got some V-word onions. The tomatoes in the trays weren't doing very well. They got bleached out by too much light intensity inside, and then I up-potted quite a lot of them and had them in the shade for a few days, and they look so much better. Lettuce and purple barley, radishes. All these pots have like one of the black or purple Holeless barleys in them. Uh-oh, I think I see a slug eating this radish leaf. Maybe we still are in the swamp. How about that? Does anybody know if you can feed slugs to chickens? Do they like those? More radishes, more lettuce, carrots. This was purple cauliflower that went to flower. Quite a lot of lettuce in here. Some onions over there, some dill, a lot of barley, some comfrey, more lettuce. Some aloe plants that need to go in the house before it gets cold. Tomatoes, peppers, tomatoes, peppers, tomatoes, peppers, peppers, peppers. Collard green that's going to flower, some more barley, more carrots, some beets and Swiss chard, some leeks and strawberries, some rye and carrots. This rye looks kind of messy now that it's so big, but it was really cool to see how big it got. The first time I planted ryegrass in a raised bed. Some carrots, some V-word onions. But we're here for the fruit trees, right? So here's tangerine. There's another tangerine. This is a new peach I just put in, Florida King. It's probably gonna die. It's got a lot of competition from this tangerine. It's got a lot of competition from this tangerine. It's got a lot of competition from these two tangerines. And then there's bamboo all behind it, which is probably the worst. This was spinach, but a little bit of mustard ended up getting in here. Now there's a lot of mustard in here. I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to elderberry, but this is an elderberry. The loquats have fruit on them, but not as much as last year. This is a new peach here. I think this one's like called Sam Houston. This loquat has more fruit on it than the one we just looked at. Olive tree seems to be doing fine. Here's a different view of some of the tangerine trees. They doubled in height last year. Probably most exciting is that the peaches are in full flower. Peaches are cool because the flowers come out before the leaves. This goji berry's just going nuts. These peach flowers don't look as pretty. This is a different variety. It's a little bit older than the other two trees. The two newer peach trees that look prettier are Albertas. I don't remember what variety this was, like Georgia Bell or something. The watermelon figs look great. This is the other peach. This is the second Alberta. Really nice flowers on that. The spinach is just popping. Wow, something's been chewing on my raised bed. How about that? That's kind of weird. I wonder if that was my dog. That's crazy. That's nice wood too, unfortunately. Yeah, look at all that spinach just doing great. What else? This was garlic, and I had planted some onions in here, and somehow the whole thing got full of clover. But with clover being pretty beneficial, I didn't really have the heart to pull it. The hot weather will take care of a lot of it. All the Morris heading collards went to flower before they properly headed. You can see they were trying to head. That's kind of interesting. I've never really grown the Morris heading collards before. I'm guessing the fact that we had some 80-degree days and then some 20-degree days and then some 80-degree days again. They probably just got confused and decided to flower instead of fully heading. I probably should have planted these earlier than I did. They're also in fabric pots. They might have gotten some drought stress, which could have made them more likely to flower early. Turnips, kohlrabi, cilantro. Those look nice. They were full of grass and I thinned them out. Some strawberries. Look at this kohlrabi. What a champ. The grapefruit tree looks like it's put on a little bit of growth recently. Another olive tree. I guess we should feed the chickens. So I cleaned up the chicken area a little bit and partitioned it. So I can plant some crops on one side without them destroying all the seeds too quick. These are some apple trees I abandoned years ago. This whole area has been largely abandoned. I put these fabric pots and some plastic pots with random vegetables here, mainly to just hide the chicken coop. But I don't really do anything back here. It's deep shade. But yeah, here's some more vegetables kind of hiding the chicken coop, and then sometimes some of these sort of fall into the coop and they get some of them. The ryegrass looks so pretty after it was cut. Yeah, the chickens seem like they're doing pretty good. I made a chicken video, I think it was last week. It was just a silly video of chickens eating apples, but I enjoyed it. It is very relaxing to watch them eat. Unfortunately, there's a ton of poison ivy back here by the chicken coop, and I don't know if chickens get poison ivy, but it's come in from underneath the fence line from the area behind my fence. They really don't like radishes or citrus. They don't seem to like kohlrabi either, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, here's the area where I partitioned off, and I planted clover, vetch, triticale, rye, Austrian winter peas, sweet English peas, crimson clover, red clover, daikon radishes, wheat, barley. Planted all kinds of stuff over here for the chickens to eat. Okay, chickens. So yesterday I got 3 eggs, which was kind of cool. Most days I only get 2, but we should be getting probably 6 or 8 a day by the summer because I have a couple more baby chicks that just hatched. Okay, chickens. I finally went out and got them some chicken scratch in addition to their feed. I wanted to give them something more to do during the day, especially after I partitioned their area and they only have half as much space. Always keep your chicken feed in metal trash cans. I have like 5 different chicken feeds now, and they're all like organic and soy free, and they have all these probiotics and vitamins and minerals, and one of them's got oregano in it. Every time I open the trash can, it just smells like oregano, and it's great. But yeah, I've been giving them some scratch stuff that's got wheat, radish, corn, sunflower seed. They seem to like that more than their food. You can see when I put this down, they stopped eating their food and started going for the chicken scratch stuff. But they're good chickens. Every permaculture orchard should have some chickens, right? So anyway, just kind of wanted to give you all an update and do the last official garden tour of winter. So I'll be out here trying to get rid of all this poison ivy probably the rest of today, and preparing for the 27-degree temperatures this coming Sunday. I thought about trying to cover the corn and zucchini with like plastic and burlap. I don't think I have any proper frost cloths, but I have plastic and burlap. But I mean, that seems like an awful lot of work, and it might actually be less work to just replant, given that I saved half the seed pack. But yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I could replant, then we could get another freeze, and then I wouldn't have any more seed. Most years our last frost or freeze is around March 15th. Last year we had a crazy late freeze in the middle of April, which is unheard of, and there was like statistically a 5% or less chance of that occurring. And then some years we don't really get much of a frost at all. There's years where I pick tomatoes on Christmas, and you know, spinach is bolting by the middle of January because it's just too hot. But this has been the coldest year of my life here, and it was interesting. I mean, I've vacationed colder places than here, so it wasn't like brutal for me, but it was different. You know, we're normally a subtropical climate. We grow citrus and ginger root and all that type of stuff, and have a freeze in April and then another freeze the day before Thanksgiving was very, very strange. I was pretty worried about the chickens when we got down to 19 degrees one night. I don't think I'd ever seen that here. But it'll be good for the peach trees and the apple trees. They definitely got their coldiness this year. So anyway, thanks for going along with me for the garden tour. I don't know if I pointed out this garlic here. Maybe not. And then this little peppermint chard. We didn't peek in the greenhouse, but there's not a whole lot like of interesting stuff in here at the moment. It's mostly just tons of citrus that probably doesn't even need to be in here because it'd be fine outside, especially this new Arctic frost satsuma. Collard greens all full of caterpillars, which is gross. A lot of citrus. There was a bunch of pepper plants in here, but they all died when it got down to 19. Although one of them seems to be coming back. This thing looked dead as a doornail, and it looks like it's resprouting. But anyway, y'all have a good day.